Warriors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is User Unknown, and I am joined by Hydrate. Hydrate, if you'd like to introduce yourself real quick.
Hello everybody, my name is Hydrate. As you all already know, that is UCW. We are here today with the preview for Brawl 66. We are barreling towards the next pay-per-view, Brawl 70, and we have a stacked card full of plenty of interesting fights and probably a lot of quick fights, if I'm being honest. And to start that off, we have a heavyweight fight between the number 14 ranked Trav Dog and the number 15 ranked Jay Prince. Both have only had one fight here in SMFC so far. Trav Dog 0-1 and Jay Prince 1-0. They're looking to prove they belong. Who do you think takes this fight and why, UCW?
Trav Dog's coming off of a hard rebound from his debut. Jay Prince coming off of a really clean fight with Adam Thomas in his first fight. Another fight where, Jay Prince shows up, shows out in his debut, but as we saw with Brad Core and John Styles, I don't know necessarily how that's going to work out for him. My money with Trav Dog is the exact same situation. He's in a similar situation as Adam Thomas was last week, moving into a fight where he was 0-1, going up against Jay Prince, who had not come into the SMFC yet, and now Jay Prince with that 1-0. Records and stats say that Jay Prince is probably going to walk out with it, but Trav Dog might be having something to prove. I don't know. I do like the quote that Hunter had, though, where he said that these two don't have resumes. They're writing them in real time. It's very unpredictable to call a match or a fight with either of these two in it because we really don't know much about them.
That is a good point. Both have not really done much. Both are new. Both are writing their story. I'm going to say Jay Prince takes this and goes 2-0. I was just more impressed with his performance than I was with Trav's in their first fights, and I think Jay's going to keep climbing. I think Trav's going to lose, but learn a very important lesson along the way.
Well, I mean, it's definitely, like I said, statistically, it's a better call to put your money on Jay Prince if you are a betting person. We do try to help out with the picks and the odds and stuff like that here on Mike Warriors. It is definitely the better pick for Jay Prince, but that payout's probably going to be a little higher for Trav Dog if he walks away with the W in this one. Next up after that, we are moving into the middleweight division. We've got Kobu Pantheon versus Greg Hayes. Kobu is the 5th rank. He's 11-9 in his career. Greg Hayes is ranked at 11. He is 6-9 in his career. What do we think about that, Hydrate?
That is a very interesting fight to see. Kobu is coming off of a very tough loss to Adrian Wilkins. If Kobu had won that fight, he would have been in potential title shot talks. So he's looking to rebound, keep himself in the top 5. Greg Hayes he's just looking to do something. He's not really been doing well lately. He's taken losses to people like Timothy Collins. He's sitting at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the middleweight division. And this was a guy who, once upon a time, was nearly in the title picture himself. Like back at Brawl 48, he had a number 1 contender fight and everything. But he has just not been the same in a while. I personally think that as much as he could use this win, he's not going to get it. I'm going to go with Kobu for this one.
So we all know that Hayes is an early KO risk. He's live or die first rounder almost all of the time. How do you think that Pantheon's counter defense is going to play into this match and maybe take Greg out of his comfort zone?
That's a very good question. Kobu's a bit of a person who likes to go into the later rounds and basically test his opponent's stamina and endurance, because he's got a lot of it. He can take a hell of a lot of punishment and then just come out and knock your lights out and KO you. Greg Hayes, as you said, is a bit of a live or die in the first round kind of guy. He either gets KO'd or he KOs in the first round usually. And I think that Kobu's going to take him out of his comfort zone by forcefully trying to push him to the second or third round to see what he's made of. And I don't know if Greg Hayes is going to be prepared for that because, like you said, we don't really know if he has the endurance or the stamina when it goes into the later rounds of a fight.
Bouncing back to the last time that we saw Pantheon in the octagon against Wilkins, he also tried that same push him out of the first round, see how far I can take him, maybe I'll win the fight that way. It backfired on him in that situation. Do we think that Greg Hayes might be able to come back? Or, because like you said, six wins, 6 knockouts, but on the other side of the octagon, you've also got Pantheon with 11 wins and 11 knockouts. The match is going to end by knockout, almost guaranteed. What I'm thinking is Greg Hayes going to surprise the world with enough stamina to maybe take Pantheon down as well? Is Pantheon even correct in the head to be in this fight? The fight with Wilkins definitely took a lot out of him. We were all there. We all saw what happened. there's a lot in this fight that's just behind the scenes, more mental than anything. Because I mean, the fight style of Pantheon compared to the fight style of Hayes, it seems like they're a perfect match. But when you get down to the fact that if this goes into the second round, Hayes might not even know what he's doing in a fight that's lasted that long. Breathing is definitely the main thing. I'm going Pantheon.
I'm going to go Pantheon as well. And in the next fight, we're going to move back over to the heavyweight division here for a second. We have Elliot Southey versus Dakari Kane. Elliot, the veteran, 12-18, 12 knockouts, number 7 in the rankings, versus Dakari Kane, who is 1-1-1 with 1 knockout. He's a rookie. He's done a little bit. He's lost. He's won. And he's also had a draw, which is very interesting. And he had that against Andy Knight. He, as Hunter said, he's a wild card in this. But Elliot Southey is he's really consistently good. Win or loss, he always puts on some of the best fights and puts out some of the best efforts that you will ever see here in SMFC. I think that no matter the result of this fight, we're going to see something special. I'm going to call that this is going to be fight of the night, and I'm going to go with Dakari Kane for this. I think his unpredictability and the chip on his shoulder is going to give him the edge to get the big win over the veteran.
So I'm actually going to counter that fight of the night, and I'm going to give it the fastest finish of the night. I think that Hunter's quote said it best when he told everybody, don't blink, because this could be one of those fights that we very rarely see where we get 15 seconds in and they're already on the ground. There is so much knockout power in Southey's hands, and like you said, Kane is a complete wild card. If it goes outside of the first round, hands down, I think you're completely correct, fight of the night. But if it stays in that first round, I don't think we make it very far into the first round.
You do make a good point there. It's either a first round quick knockout or a 3-round slobber knocker.
It's going to be a slobber knocker. It's either a slobber knocker or one of them has a point to prove, and they prove it very quickly. Moving into another fight that it could end like that, we've got James McMahon versus Dad Trainer. McMahon is the 4th ranking in the middleweight division. We've got Dad Trainer ranked at number 9. Dad Trainer is almost even in his SMFC record at 11-2, while James McMahon is 15-19. 14 of those wins, though, coming from knockout. Hunter's quote, and something that I really do want to take into consideration right here, is these two don't have gears, just detonation switches. They are both explosive. They both come out of nowhere. Dad Trainer has proved time and time again that he can be out of the fight until the very end of the fight, where he hits one well-placed punch and the fight's over. McMahon is on a little bit of a redemption arc, though. He got knocked out in his last fight. Maybe Dad Trainer looking to reassert some of his dominance as a veteran. What do you think?
I think this is a very interesting fight between two veterans who are not exactly doing the best. Yes, James McMahon is currently the 4th ranked, but that's also partially due to activity of others, inactivity of others, because as we all know, and as you mentioned, he's coming off of a tough loss to the very disrespectful rookie, Timothy Collins, who we will see later on in the night. And Dad Trainer is trying to prove that he still belongs, that he still has it, after a very tough couple of losses. Ever since Brawl 64, he has just not been the same. And when it comes to a show, we're going to get a show. We got the human highlight reel, and one of the most consistently good kickboxing-based people in SMFC. I think this is going to end in the first round. Hell, I think it's going to end in the first 3 minutes. I don't think we're going past 2 minutes left in a round. And I think that despite the fact that James McMahon can get a win out of nowhere, I think that Dad Trainer he has more to prove, and not just to the crowd, but to himself. And I think that's going to give him the edge to even out his record to 12-12 and get him a much-needed victory over James McMahon.
I'd have to agree. I think Dad Trainer's got more on his shoulders than McMahon has on his. Dad Trainer trying to climb back up the ranks. He's trying to get even in his record, trying to prove that he is here to fight, trying to prove that in a couple of losses that he's taken in his career, maybe he didn't deserve, maybe he just wasn't prepared. Now he's a different man, and now he's bouncing back into it.
Moving back into the heavyweight division here for a second, we have what could be a potential future title contender depending on who wins this. The number 2 ranked Tony Tornado versus the number 5 ranked Dustin Rhodes. Both are former light heavyweight champions, but that division is now retired, so it does not mean much. Tony Tornado is trying to prove that he can get that he can get to the title scene, and I would say one more win like right here would get him a future title shot. Dustin Rhodes is trying to bounce back after losing the title to Braden Brown. I think both kind of need this win for different reasons. Tony to get a future title shot, Dustin to prove that he still has it after losing the title, even though he's been lobbying for a rematch. I think that Tony Tornado, his unpredictability, yes, Dustin Rhodes is a bit of a stamina machine and can go all the way into the end of the fight and then tap you out. I just think Tony Tornado's unpredictability is going to help him here, and he's going to reach 20 wins with a knockout victory here tonight over the former champion Dustin Rhodes.
So you said it, Hunter said it, I'm agreeing with it. There's huge stakes in this fight. I don't honestly think that Rhodes can afford another stumble on his path. He lost the championship now. But Tornado's not the guy to use an experiment. He's somebody you need to come in with a game plan. You need to have your head right. You need to be prepared, because Tony will come out of nowhere. And once he comes out of nowhere, there's nothing you can really do about it other than roll with the punches. Both of these guys are veterans. There's redemption or decline on the line for both of them. Rhodes has put on weight to join the heavyweight division. We need to keep that in mind. Maybe he's not used to fighting at the heavyweight level yet. Maybe he feels slower. Maybe his hands feel heavier. At the end of the day, I think experience only matters as much as your chin does. And I think Tony Tornado has proved time and time again that he's got one of the best chins in SMFC.
That is a good point there. Tony Tornado is far from a glass jaw. Dustin Rhodes, also far from a glass jaw, but we're going to see whose breaks first, because nobody's indestructible.
Moving back into the middleweight division, we've got Tim Collins versus Noah Chapman. Timothy Collins is 3-4 in his career, 3 knockouts. Noah Chapman is 5-5. He has broken even. Hunter has said multiple times, controversy sells, but so do results. If somebody can keep winning this way, it's a damn good thing. But if he slips up once, everybody's going to want to shut him up.
That is
Collins has got a knockout personality. Chapman's quiet. He's a technical grinder. He's all business. Hydrate, is Collins reckless or revolutionary, though?
I would say a little bit of both. He's reckless in the fact that he's a bit of an all-over-the-place kind of fighter if you watch his fights. He doesn't really seem to go in there with a set pace. He doesn't try to set the tone. He seems to try to rely on overwhelming his opponent early with an unorthodox style, or really lack of a style. And he just kind of throws punches to throw them, throws kicks to throw them, and kind of just absorbs everything that somebody throws at him until he lands that one shot, and then he just goes for the kill. And to be fair, it has worked out for him. It has brought him up to the top 3 into future title shot territory. But on the other side of the cage is Noah Chapman, a man who almost had a number 1 contendership in his own right, but has just been quietly grinding. Like you said, he's broken even, 5-5, 4 KOs. We've seen what he can do. He's knocked out people like Adrian Wilkins. He's also lost to people like James McMahon. I wouldn't count Noah Chapman as a veteran just yet, but this would be another massively disrespectful win for Timothy Collins, because we all know he will probably continue his streak that he has taken to doing and taunting post-fight if he wins. I know a lot of the veterans in SMFC, a lot of the people who are watching at home, are going to be rooting for Chapman to kind of shut Collins up a little bit, but I honestly don't know if Chapman's going to be able to do it. I think, as much as I as a fan don't want to say this, I think that Timothy Collins is going to take this win and move up to future number 1 contender talks.
I'm fully on board with Tim Collins at this point. I am 100% on his team. Because the taunting at first I was a little thrown off by it, but the way that he was able to show out in his last fight, and then just the absolutely disrespectful shut your mouth in front of everybody. Yeah, no, I'm 100% Tim Collins stand now. It's him all the way. Give him the gold.
Yeah, that'd be easier said than done, though. Speaking of gold, over in the co-main event of the night, we move back to the heavyweight division. We have the number 1 ranked Hassan Malkova, 12-3, 9 knockouts, 1 submission, 1 doctor stoppage. versus the number 4 ranked rookie Andy Knight, 5-1-1 with 2 subs, 1 TKO, and 3 decision victories. This is a real GOAT versus potential future GOAT territory kind of talk here. Andy Knight's been showing up, showing out, showing that he could very well be the future of SMFC. But Hassan Malkova, it's just Hassan Malkova. I don't know how else to tell anybody that. We all know there's a reason why people say it's just fucking Malkova. Malkova has that sort of aura to him. He's sort of this indomitable spirit. This guy that's nearly unbeatable. 2 of his 3 losses have come from the same guy. So only 2 people in history have ever even beaten him. And if Andy Knight could somehow get the miracle win here on Monday, I think that he would definitely be probably next in line for a title shot, and it would be a statement win and certainly cement him as like the next big face of SMFC. Now, realistically, I'm going to say that Hassan Malkova takes this and heads to Brawl 67 to fight Braden Brown for the championship. But I think we're going to see a real special performance from Andy Knight tonight. Well, it's on Monday, fuck. And then we're really going to see what kind of person he is when he's locked in the cage with the silverback gorilla.
So I'm a basketball fan, so allow me to put it in basketball terms for a second. This feels like MJ versus Kobe. This feels like Kobe versus LeBron. This feels like that passing of the torch moment that could possibly happen where if Andy Knight surprises everybody and becomes the 3rd man in history to defeat Malkova. In Malkova's last fight, we saw him probably play with his food, looking back at the tape, watching it through. Maybe he let Pablo go on a lot longer than he should have because he wanted to give the vet a good send-off. He wanted to make him feel great. But at the same time, maybe Malkova took that long to put it together on how to take down his opponent. Maybe he's getting slower. Maybe he's aging. At the same time, it could just be refining, and he could be like fine wine. We've seen him get better every single time he's gotten the octagon. I'm not taking that away from him. But Andy Knight's got the charisma to be a future star in SMFC, and I think that he understands that if he can take down Malkova right here, it will catapult him into the conversation of the Dustin Hunters, the Hassan Malkovas, the guys who are the greatest to ever do this.
Yeah, it is a bit of a, not a must win, but you win here, your life is made. Your life is as good as made. Your career is as good as solidified. If Andy Knight can get the miracle win here tonight, on Monday.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving into a championship match in the middleweight division. Walter Brooks is defending the championship against Robert Zodiac. Walter Brooks, 11-8 in his career, 10 knockouts to his name. Robert Zodiac, the number 1 contender, 13-6 with 13 knockouts. Nothing else. We heard Hunter say it best, experience. Zodiac's not walking in blind anymore. He's angry. He's disciplined. He's been waiting for this exact moment, and he's finally got it. They've both learned from each other, and that's what makes them both dangerous. We've seen multiple times in SMFC where guys who have gone at it time and time again, by the end fight where it has the most stakes, they know each other so well that they're slipping shots. They're getting out of the way. They know when the other one's going to try and breathe, and they take that moment to attack. Zodiac has a 100% KO rate. It's pure kill shot records at this point. But Brooks is a knockout surge as well. He's peaking. Is he unpredictable? Is it all just success in his hands? What do you think, Hydrate?
I think this is a very unpredictable fight, and let me take y'all back to Brawl 58. Brawl 58, we saw Walter Brooks defend the title against Robert Zodiac for the first time. Robert Zodiac was touted as possibly one of the most feared middleweights in history, and to be fair, still is. He has more than double the wins than he does losses. And we saw a hell of a first round fight. Robert Zodiac becoming one of the less than 5 people in SMFC history to make Walter Brooks bleed. But at the end of a brutal 1-round fight, Robert Zodiac got knocked out with 44 seconds remaining when Walter Brooks caught him mid-Superman punch with an overhand right to the ear. Now, we all know that Robert Zodiac is learning. He's probably watched that tape back endlessly, trying to learn and study and see any cracks in Walter Brooks' game. But I honestly don't really know how to call this, because, like we've said, they've both got experience against each other. They've both been learning. They've both been dominant. Robert Zodiac, if he lands early, he's deadly. That's how Walter Brooks beat him the first time around. Because one thing that people don't talk about enough when it comes to Walter Brooks is he has a very, very good guard game. He can block a hell of a lot of shots from people that not a lot of others would be able to block. And that has kind of aided him in being as successful as he is. But will Robert Zodiac find a way to get Brooks to let his guard down, or to somehow punch through the guard that nobody else has really been able to break? I don't know, but my gut instinct is telling me that Walter Brooks he's gonna win again, but I honestly don't know how to say why or how. My gut's just saying that Walter Brooks is gonna walk out victorious.
So you talked about the first fight between these two, where Brooks was able to catch him with the overhand right to the ear, knock him out of the sky in the middle of the Superman punch. However, we are a few months removed from then. He's had a lot of fights under his belt. How can you admit that Zodiac has changed in defense and pacing?
Zodiac has learned to better pace himself since that fight. I think he saw that in that fight he was a little too explosive, a little too fast-paced, trying to push it against a guy who is equally as good in fast-paced matches and fights. And I think he learned from that ever since then has been controlling himself better. Because as you can see, it's worked out very well for him. He's learned, he's refined his craft, and he's back here again. But will it be enough against a champion who, minus the 19-second knockout loss, has been unstoppable since Brawl 50? I don't know, to be honest with you.
Moving on to things that we don't know about, my favorite part of Mike Warriors, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to speculate if Dustin Hunter is going to get back in the octagon. Here's what we know this far. He had a little bit of exchange with reporter Chloe Ward. She said people are still buzzing about your training again. Hunter's response was, Hunter's had better cardio than most fighters. Chloe said, as a follow-up, so you're not denying it, and Hunter had even admitted, I've learned never to make promises. I might break, or denials. I might regret. Keep your cameras ready. That seems like what we've been saying for the last 2 weeks is almost a fucking guarantee. That seems like it's only a matter of time.
It seems like Dustin is getting a kick, honestly, out of teasing the reporters and teasing the fans of a potential return. Now, this is not professional wrestling, this is fighting, but in professional wrestling, they say never, and that anything can happen. And I think the same is kind of holding true here. I think that Dustin Hunter very well could return. He very well could be going to the heavyweight division. He could be going to the middleweight division. And I think he's kind of just having fun teasing everybody right now. But I honestly think we are getting closer to a potential return here.
I also think that destabilizes the current title picture completely. We've seen him change weight. We've seen him move from division. If he wants to be in the heavyweight division, it's really just a matter of putting it on. If he wants to be in the middleweight division, it's really only a matter of him losing the weight. So it's all up to him, but whatever division he chooses to go into, I know that it's putting a champion and its number one contender on notice very quickly.
Yeah. Anyway,
Moving back to the heavyweight division, I have one more thing for you. Jenna Park asked about Braden Brown sitting out. Is this event showcase for the next title challenger? Hunter's response was exactly Malkover versus Knight and Tornado versus Rhodes will shape the picture. After this card, we'll know who's hungry enough to keep that into fire. It's a possible bracket breakdown for the next few contenders. We're seeing the couple of names that Dustin's got his mind on. I just want to know what you think about the heavyweight title landscape before we get out of here.
I think the heavyweight title landscape is as unpredictable as it can be, with people like Hassan Malkova knocking down the door, Andy Knight sneaking around in there, Tony Tornado proving that he's always, capable of going and just taking the title, and then Dustin Rhodes, resilient and a bit of a quiet climber. All these people could very well be the champion, and nobody would bat an eye. I think it's very unpredictable, and I would not be surprised if over the next couple months to a year we see a lot of title changes and we see that title basically become a hot potato.
That's exactly what I'm expecting as well. There's a lot of hungry rookies who have just joined the roster who are going to want a shot at that championship eventually. There's a lot of veterans who have moved up from light heavyweight to become heavyweights because of the dismantling of the light heavyweight division. There's middleweights who have moved up to even take on that burden. There's a lot of people who are seeing the heavyweight division as an opportunity to move into a different picture and kind of claim their spot in even a GOAT or Hall of Fame status. And I think in a couple of months we're having conversations about completely different people, man.
I do too. Anyway, that about wraps up Mike Warriors for this week. I've been Hydrate. That's been UCW. We will see y'all next week with the recap of Brawl 66. Who will win? We don't know. We'll be watching it with you live on Monday. Take care.